Good morning. My name is Mark Swihart, and I'll be the worship associate today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. Whether you've been with this church a decade or more, or this is your first time with us, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are, whomever you love, welcome to our church. Wherever you come from, whatever your journey has been, we do welcome you. Newcomers and guests are always welcome to participate in any of our church activities. If you'd like more information about our church or about Unitarian Universalism, please talk to our minister, Reverend Jane Thixton. You can find her contact information at our website. Also, be sure to join us for coffee hour following the service. The Zoom link will be posted in the YouTube chat toward the end of the service. We'll be breaking into smaller groups there for better conversation. Once again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. It's good to be together, even virtually. Our opening words today for the service are by Wendell Berry. The care of the earth is our most ancient and most worthy, and after all, our most pleasing responsibility. To cherish what remains of it and to foster its renewal is our only hope. Our chalice lighting words this morning are by Rena Kondo. We light this chalice with hopes for a bright future. May our children, their children, all children, intermingle their laughter throughout the world. May they be as the rainbow, color and hope for the coming dawn. Our opening hymn is We Celebrate the Web of Life. That's number 175 in the gray hymn book, and the words will be on your screen.
In magnitude we sing, for we can see divinity in every living thing. A fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as much in tiny barnacle as in the great blue whale. Of ancient dreams we are the sum, our bones link stone and star, and bind our future worlds to come with worlds that were and are. Respect the water and the land and air which preaches birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth.
This morning's story is adapted from Aesop's The Grasshopper and the Ant, with special illustrations by Addie and Allison Zadnick. While the story is certainly a familiar one, we think it symbolizes the warm welcome of a close-knit community, such as the one envisioned by the Carson EcoVillage. All summer long, the grasshopper played his fiddle and sang songs. Everyone enjoyed his music, and he had many friends. There was plenty of food free for the taking in the green summer fields. The grasshopper just nibbled a little here, a little there, and then moved on. The ants, on the other hand, worked hard all summer long collecting food and storing it in their houses. When it began to get cold and the snow fell, the grasshopper shivered. His stomach was empty, so he went from ant house to ant house, begging for something to eat. "While you fiddled last summer," said the ants, "we worked hard putting grain away for the wintertime. Now we have just enough for ourselves. Let us alone, go away." Poor grasshopper. He was getting hungrier and colder and was beginning to think he would starve to death. Night came, and the grasshopper started sadly down the road that led away from the town where everyone had so cruelly refused him food. Just then, he passed the last house. Through the window, the grasshopper saw some ants preparing for a holiday feast. Once more, he knocked on the door to ask for food. This time, a friendly ant opened it and saw her summertime companion, the grasshopper. Before the grasshopper could say a word, she shouted to her family, "Look, tonight we shall have music." To the grasshopper, she said, "Come in and play, be merry with us." Together they all celebrated. The ants brought out their most luscious food, and the grasshopper played his sweetest music. They danced and they ate and they sang all night long, and everybody was happy.
Hi, I'm Chris Hill with the Lay Pastoral Care Team. During our service, we create this sacred space for sharing within our community. It's a time to share significant life passages with the congregation, so you can be held in loving care. I'll be reading the joys and sorrows this morning. We'll be placing a stone representing each joy or sorrow in the sand, representing our congregation, supporting the sorrows and lifting up the joys. We have one joy today. Janet McCall writes, "After what may be a record for the longest interval between attempting to retire and successfully achieving it, I am overjoyed to share the news that I am officially retired as of today. I am grateful for all the love and good wishes as I embrace the next chapter of my life's journey." To Janet we say, we share in your joy. We now place one more stone in the sand for all the joys and sorrows that exist in our heart but remain unspoken today. We especially think of everyone suffering, directly or indirectly, from the COVID-19 pandemic. Please read with me the words appearing on the screen, understanding that here includes all those watching. Let us hold in our circle of caring each person here. Let us hold in our hearts those who are unable to be with us today. Let us hold in our memory those who have moved on. Let us find comfort in knowing that we are not alone.
These words are from The Unsettling of America, also by Wendell Berry. It is impossible to care for each other more or differently than we care for the earth. This last statement becomes obvious enough when it is considered that the earth is all we have in common, that it is what we are made of and what we live from, and that we therefore cannot damage it without damaging those with whom we share it. But I believe it goes farther and deeper than that. There's an uncanny resemblance between our behavior toward each other and our behavior toward the earth. By some connection we do not recognize, the willingness to exploit one becomes the willingness to exploit the other. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We're so grateful for this, and we commit together to ensure that the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and for our world than they could do alone. The morning offering will be taken by your going to the uucnh.org website, finding the link in the upper right-hand corner that says Donate, and making a contribution equivalent to what you would put in the plate, or a little more. May we give today in love and hope. Would you please join with me in saying the dedication of our offering? The words will be on your screen. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. This morning's message about community is from Stefani Daines. Stefani is an adjunct in the School of Architecture at Carnegie Mellon University, where she has taught since 1979. She has combined a career in architecture and urban design with teaching and public service. Stefani's work includes urban housing, housing for special populations, urban design, and planning for neighborhood revitalization. She has been a member of the Pittsburgh Co-Housing Group for many years, and she's delighted that the goals of this group are being realized in the Carson EcoVillage. Following Stefani's message, we'll hear from others who are committed to the sense of community and environmental stewardship envisioned in the Carson EcoVillage. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Stefani Daines. I'm one of the founding members of Carson EcoVillage, and I'm glad to be able to share with you this morning something about our community and the idea of intentional living that brings us together. After I give a short talk, a few others of our community will share their perspectives on the relationship between the community and the principles of Unitarian Universalism. So I'm going to share my screen. During this past year, we have become very aware of the importance of connections in our lives. And many of us have looked for new ways of living that connect us better with our community, with nature, and with a healthier lifestyle. Inspired by the legacy of one of America's greatest environmentalists, Carson EcoVillage is being built on the campus of Chatham University's Fox School of Sustainability and Environment, the Eden Hall campus north of Pittsburgh. This campus is dedicated to the teaching of the principles that Carson has taught us. And on the sign at the entrance to the campus are her words from the opening of the book Silent Spring. First, a few words about an eco-village. Intentional living means that people come together not just to live in a community that has good housing, but in a place where they know their neighbors. Eco means living in harmony with nature, and village, living in harmony with our neighbors. There are many kinds of eco-villages in the world, some of which were founded hundreds of years ago. Each eco-village is a reflection of its environment and the people who found it, and they have many aspects in common. Today, the notion of co-housing, which is one of the models for an eco-village on which Carson is founded, is confused with other kinds of housing. It is not a commune. There is no shared income or shared living space. Everyone lives in their own house. In fact, it's stronger because of the diversity of beliefs, backgrounds, and ideas that we bring to the community. The one common value that makes everything work is the desire to do what's best for the community. The idea of co-housing, or social housing, as it's known in Scandinavia, was first created in Denmark. where young families got together to build a neighborhood where they could raise their children. Today, 1 out of every 12 houses is built in a co-housing community in Denmark. In 1990, 2 American architects, Chuck Durrett and Katie McCammond, came back from Denmark with this idea and brought it to the United States, where the early co-housing communities were built along the West Coast. In the 30 years since then, there have been over 150 communities built, and there are well over 50 more in the planning stages today. The closest to us is EcoVillage Ithaca, which was built in 1994 in a 30-unit neighborhood on a 175-acre site outside of town. Most of that property is farmed, but they have increased their community with 2 additional neighborhoods. And they are well known around the world for their teaching of the practices of sustainable living. As you can see here, these pictures show you some of the diversity of co-housing communities. They reflect the people who live there and their surroundings, and they vary greatly depending on whether they're built in the city or in the country. Most co-housing communities are multi-generational, but a few, like Silver Sage, which you see in the lower right-hand corner, are for older adults. It was built across the street from Wild Sage Co-housing, its multi-generational community partner. If every community is unique, are there any things that they have in common? Well, actually, yes. Every community has individual housing units, usually 20 to 40, and a common building or common house where common meals, just like neighborhood potlucks, are held. In addition to a large dining room and kitchen, the common house also has guest rooms that allow homeowners to do without that little used extra bedroom. Each community decides what to build in their common building. At Rachel Carson EcoVillage, our campus location provides many facilities that we will not have to duplicate in our common house, ranging from fitness center to meeting rooms to cafe and even, of course, the organic farm. The other common features for these communities are the open space. Inside the community is a space for play and gardening and friendship. Cars are parked outside and kept away from the houses. Creating a walkable community like this makes it easier to see neighbors, safer for children, and healthier for everyone. If you're interested in learning more, about co-housing, eco-villages, or intentional living, these websites provide some great information, including a directory of communities around the country and around the world. The concept of an eco-village was built into Chatham's master plan 10 years ago, but it was only last year when Chatham released its request for proposals and we began our feasibility study. The site is 4 acres on what used to be a potato farm on the east side of Ridge Road near the south border of the campus. What you see in the original map shows a drawing of an eco-village. Our community is slightly to the north and center of the campus. This is the Arizona Center and the main academic heart of the campus. We recognize in our community the interdependence with each other and the world around us. And our vision is to create a community of connections, both social and ecological. We envision our community growing into its natural surroundings over time, which we will enhance and enrich by our stewardship. The community is being designed to fit naturally onto a gentle slope in 3 clusters of 2 and 3 unit houses. Every housing unit will have its own private yard and its covered porches. Cars are parked to the south of the common house, where they stay surrounded by planting and natural berms. These are images of an artist's early renderings showing what it might be like in the community. Arriving along Ridge Road from the south, walking along Orchard Commons, which connects the 3 clusters, looking toward the common house from the housing. Those apple trees, by the way, are the grafts of the campus's heirloom apple trees in their orchard, which they are growing for us. And finally, a view of porch life here at the EcoVillage. While we value diversity in our community, new housing is expensive, and we are challenged to find ways to make it affordable to more people. We have applied for a grant that would allow the community to own several units and rent them at low cost. We are also designing the community for long-term affordability, planning and building it as a single development gives us an economy of scale. Because homeowners are involved in the planning of the community, we build only what we need. And there is no developer profit in our project. Everything is sold at cost. Highly insulated buildings will also cut our utility bills to a fraction of typical costs. And self-governance will enable us to keep our monthly home ownership costs low. Our target is under $300 a month. Self-governance distinguishes Rachel Carson EcoVillage from other kinds of housing, and it's the foundation of our community. We have adopted a way of making decisions called sociocracy, or governance by friends. The concept came out of a Quaker school over a century ago and is used today by communities, businesses, nonprofits, and government agencies around the world. In sociocracy, everyone's voice and everyone's time are both respected. Decentralized decision-making, that is, putting decisions in the hands of the people who are closest to the effects of those decisions, tends to help us make more informed decisions. You may be familiar with the concept of nonviolent communication, also called compassionate communication. This empathetic and respectful approach to relationships is at the heart of sociocracy. It consists of a way of understanding each other and a way of talking to each other that we practice all the time. It creates a safe space for honest and creative ideas that help us make better decisions. The ultimate purpose of sociocracy, like the eco-village itself, is to make better connections among us. Because good governance is critical to our community, everyone who joins the community takes our small group introductory course, where we learn and practice the basics of having productive discussions, running effective meetings, and learning from our experiences together. This diagram shows how we distribute responsibilities to our 4 primary planning groups, as you see in orange here, which are each comprised of EcoVillage members. Each group has its responsibility. It is responsible for its own domain and its budget. And once it's established, it can operate fairly autonomously. As you can see, over time, by comparing this to our current diagram, that as the community grows, so does our governance structure. In a very practical way, we organize as we need to get our work done. Participating in these groups is giving us good practice at making decisions and, even more importantly, in working with and learning to trust each other. So it's by connecting with each other in all of these ways that we are creating a neighborly community. By the time we move in, we will already be good neighbors with a common, caring, and respectful culture. These are some of the many ways that we are working toward building these connections, and we look forward to continuing that process as we get closer to constructing the community and, of course, living there. Our connections to each other are a small part of connecting ourselves to our larger community and to our larger ecosystems. We believe that all of us have a positive role to play in bringing people together and working with nature as good stewards to enhance the vitality and resilience of life, and to do our part to strengthen the web of interdependence on which all life depends. All of us who have found our way to Rachel Carson EcoVillage have come on our own path. And we've discovered that we also share many interests and values in common. For some of us, it is the intersection with the principles of Unitarian Universalism that draws us to the community. So right now, I'm going to let Becky Lubold introduce herself and share her perspective on the community and these values. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Becky, and I'm a Unitarian Universalist, although I am not right now affiliated with a particular congregation. I'm an Explorer member of Rachel Carson EcoVillage, helping with membership and outreach, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to participate in today's service. Now that you know a little more about co-housing communities in general and about our community specifically, I want to share with you some of my own reasons for wanting to be part of it. There are many similarities between what drew me to Unitarian Universalism and what draws me to Rachel Carson EcoVillage. As Stefani mentioned, in the past year, we have all become more aware of our need for connection, for social relationships, and for support in our lives. UU congregations also recognize and feel the need and the desire to be part of a community, to be connected and supported by others who share similar values. As a retired environmental educator, living surrounded by the beauty of nature in a way that not only respects the environment but enhances it is an important part of my decision. We have a vision of a multi-generational, multicultural, and diverse community which is welcoming and accepting, which values the many talents and ideas that each of us brings and the work that we do together to build a better world. Building our community now through our relationships, even before we build the physical structures in which we will live, making our decisions through the sociocratic process, it is our hope to serve as an example of the kind of world community that Unitarian Universalism also affirms and promotes, with peace, liberty, and justice for all. My hope is that living and working in close relationship with EcoVillage neighbors and on Eden Hall's campus, I will continue to learn and grow as an individual while remaining committed to the ideals of social and environmental justice. And with my neighbors, I anticipate sharing fun times, wonderful conversations, delicious food, and much, much more. You will now hear from two other UUs who have also been drawn to our developing community. Dick Myers is a friend familiar to you here. Jill Brethauer is a member of Allegheny Unitarian Universalist Church. We will also join you during your virtual coffee hour to answer any questions you might have and to get to know you a little better. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jill Brethauer. I live in Gibsonia, and for most of my life, I've been part of the Allegheny UU Church on the north side. Last summer, I began exploring the possibility of moving to the proposed Rachel Carson EcoVillage. And earlier this year, I decided to become a Pathfinder Equity member. I'm looking forward to moving to the EcoVillage just as soon as the homes there are constructed. Living at the EcoVillage appeals to me for a variety of reasons. First, I like being part of a vibrant and supportive community. I've enjoyed getting to know all of the members so far of the EcoVillage over the past 10 months. One of the things that we're doing together is learning about sociocracy. I'm thrilled that the sociocratic approach to governance dovetails so nicely with the UU principle of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Second, learning about the environment and joining with fellow members to achieve positive change makes me feel more optimistic and brings to life the UU principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Third, for me, it's a real plus to be able to remain in the community that I've called home for more than 30 years and where I have wonderful friends and family and strong volunteer ties. And fourth, the opportunity to attend classes at Chatham really is the icing on the cake. In short, even though the physical EcoVillage isn't built yet, it feels good, and it's a good match with my UU principles and background. Thanks for listening. I hope to see some of you at the EcoVillage. Bye-bye.
Marilyn and I are Explorer members at the RCE. For years, I've mused on the absurdity of owning an 8-horsepower rototiller that I need for maybe 2 hours a year. So sharing infrequently used resources appeals to my minimalism, which many of you have heard about. And as I age, I would prefer, if possible, to be surrounded by multiple generations, seeing life going on, kids coming home from school, young families launching their lives, rather than becoming increasingly isolated within my own age group. And of course, the ecological design of the OSCE is very congruent with the UU's seventh principle, that interconnected web of existence. Within the OSCE, I've become involved in the Community Life and Governance Circle, which is charged with much of the detail as to how a group of maybe 70 or 80 people living in a very compact community can organize and self-govern themselves. This is being attempted via that process called sociocracy. You can look it up, which to my thinking combines the best elements of the UU's first, second, and fifth principles: worth and dignity, justice and equity, democratic process. Out of a variety of considerations, we are very unlikely to live in the OSCE, but being involved in the project and the planning, in the company of some really cool, smart, and interesting people, has enriched our lives. Thank you.
Our closing hymn is a fun one. It's called Turn the World Around, number 1074 in the Teal hymnal, but the words will be on the screen. Let's sing it together.
We come through the fire, living in the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life, so is life. Whoa, so is life, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Who I know I am? See we another clearly. Do we know who we are? See we one another clearly. See we another clearly. Do we know who we are? Whoa, so is life a beat of so is life. Whoa, so is life a beat of so is life. Water make the river, river wash the mountain, fire make the sunlight, turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain, spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit, only can the spirit turn the world around. Whoa, so is life a beat of so is life. Whoa, so is life a beat of so is life. Whoa, so is life a beat of so is life. Whoa, so is life a beat of so is life.
These closing words are from Jacques Cousteau. This is our hope, that the children born today may have, still 20 years hence, a bit of green grass under their bare feet, a breath of clean air to breathe, a patch of blue water to sail on, and a whale on the horizon to set them dreaming. Go in peace.
Okay, we're gonna record now.
Hey, Andy. Shh. Like, sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.